From the Fathead Studio in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny.
Man, am I still pretty? And he's like, you ain't pretty, but you're going to be all right.
And now I'm just hanging on, looking at the wall, like flying this way. And I'm like, oh man, I got to let go of this thing at some point.
And then there's one that could literally pick you up.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not really sure about that, but yeah.
That's called a helicopter.
Well,
And the last lap was just chaos. I mean, like 4 wide, 5 wide.
It's like whatever. If you land it and send it into the fence, you're probably not going to get hurt. Bounce and then this insane roll. The car that Keegan was in. I mean, I don't know, it's the shape of the Beetle or what, but that thing sent it.
So I was the supercharger specialist on my old man's car with
Specialist?
Yeah, it sounds cooler than crew guy.
Hi, I'm Tony Stewart.
I'm Mario Andretti.
I'm Christy Lee.
I'm Alexander Rossi.
I'm Cruz Pedregon.
Hi, I'm Zane Smith, and this is The Skinny.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Skinny. We're excited. We have a great show coming your way. One of the young guns in the NASCAR series will join us here in the second segment. Of course, we're in Speedway, Indiana. This is the Fatheads Eyewear Studios. I'm Ken Stout. That is Rico Elmore. He is the man behind the studio and Fatheads Eyewear. And, of course, the track dude.
I'm behind the scene.
We're behind
screens.
nothing, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
We're behind a bunch of troubles. What we're
Correct.
behind.
Exactly.
So we typically chat about some of the stuff that we've been doing in this first segment. I will say I had last weekend off, which was great. Which the previous weekend was at Nashville and had the honor of calling the IndyCar race. It was super cool to be a part of that. My son grabbed a win with Stadium Super Trucks there, so that was a lot of fun in the first race. Robbie Gordon won the second race, and Gavin Harlan won the overall. So it was a lot of fun in Nashville. But I really enjoyed watching.
Did you hear they have a chicken place there?
Well, I saw a post from the track dude.
Yes.
And I think he's sporting the shirt today. So
he is.
I'm guessing they gave him a free meal.
No, that's
black that out. If that isn't a sponsor,
it's not a sponsor of the show.
I'm going next year. Yeah, man. I've got to try.
You've got it's. Well, if you ever have an opportunity, watch the Bus Bros episode where Newgarden and McLaughlin go to Hattie B's. Well, they actually have it brought in, and McLaughlin is now trying the various levels of heat. And by the time they get to shut the clock up, he gets up and starts pacing back and forth. He says, "Oh mate," and his mouth is on fire.
Well, the obvious person you would think would be Alex Palou, who likes the fried chicken whenever he wins, right?
Correct. We need to take Alex.
Him and Sato. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, what was it? So, what was the heat level that you had?
I stay on the damn hot is what I usually stay on. But I went to shut the clock up this past time, and 2 days later, I think I finally got better.
I'm not even going to try to say the name of that, by the way. I'm just going to steer clear of that whole potential problem.
Oh, the dang hot?
No.
No, the other one. Yeah. By the way, last weekend, IndyCar out here at the Speedway, again on the road course, and I got to bring it up because Scott Dixon does it again, man.
19 years in a row.
19 consecutive years, 21 overall, and takes over the Ironman from our good friend Tony Kanaan at 319 consecutive starts, and was spun out in turn one, complete circle, dead last at the start of the race.
Yeah.
Comes back to win it.
It's what he and Mike call. They find a way.
We call him the Iceman, but I think it should be changed to the Magician because those two guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's taken, right, on Talladega Nights, Magic Man.
Is that almost a movie? Magic Mike.
Well, that's a completely.
That's a total different.
You had to take it there, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. So I was. So we had a meeting or a convention for the Snap-on dealers, which was amazing for fatheads. The first one we had been invited to ever. Amazing bunch of people from all over the country, and some in Canada, some from the UK. So it was pretty cool, and to see the reception of our products that we're bringing to the table for Snap-on and the eyewear segment. So really cool there. And then I went down Thursday, worked that, or set up. Friday worked, Saturday worked, and then Saturday evening, I went to Knoxville, Iowa, took in the Knoxville Nationals. Just one name, Kyle Larson. and
Unbelievable.
you know, they have an open red halfway through the race, and you know, David Gravel found something. David was the show. Donnie, they as good as Donnie ran the other night. Kyle had some extra magic. Him and Paul Silva. I mean, just it's wild. But anyhow, came back to Indy and with Stewart and went out to the
Cup race
out at Indy, out at IMS. Felt like I'd been drugged behind the plane all the way back because I think I got 4 hours sleep.
It's not as easy as it used to be.
I know. And I saw Larson, and I said, Larson. He looked at me. I said, how many hours sleep you get? He said, 3. And I said, okay, I got 4, but I'm a lot older and a lot bigger and a lot worse shape than him, I think. So, but great time, great racing.
Great stuff, man. Hey, stay with us when we come back. As I tease, we have a great young gun making his way through the Craftsman Truck Series as it stands right now, and in fact has won a championship there. Stay with us. We'll feature him when we come back.
Last year was the best year of my racing career winning.
The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And American Coach. Innovation is our life force.
Welcome back to the Skinny. We're here in Speedway, Indiana, just down the road from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great to welcome a young gun to the show here. I've known his father for some 20 years. I've been watching him race for a while now, and certainly is a standout. He's going to make it in the industry that is so brutal to make it in. He won Rookie of the Year 2018 ARCA season. He also won Rookie of the Year in the 2020 Craftsman Truck season. And then he won the championship in 2022 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Congratulations there, man. This is Zane Smith. We appreciate you taking the time coming on the show here. Wanted to get you on the show here for a couple of years. I've been pounding on your dad. Finally made a connection for me despite his fishing trip there in the Keys. But we welcome you to the Skinny, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be on.
Yeah, cool stuff, man. I remember you running around in the pits with Riley and the other Herbst kids, you know, and short course off road, and when Troy and all those guys, your dad, you know, was running the short course series, and clearly you've come a long ways since then. But from what I've read, you've wanted to race your entire life.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like those were going back to some of those memories, or some of the best racing times I've ever had. So. It's crazy that to see all the different types of motorsports we've all fanned out to, but Riley and I are on the NASCAR side. He's the best man in my wedding, so I have a picture here in my office from the trophy cart days from when we were really young, but yeah, just still trying. I don't know where you'd claim where I am right now in terms of explaining the dumb way. I feel like I'm somewhat playing college football and part-time NFL, so I have kind of found a home in a way for the past few years racing in the Truck Series, and last year was the best year of my racing career, winning the championship, and then to get my feet wet in the Cup Series this year. So it's been super cool, long road to get here, as you've been a part of it, and so but excited to be here, to say the least.
Yeah, if we go back and we talk about this truck career of yours that you've spent in there, 2020 making your debut, coming out of ARCA, of course, there, and then going into the trucks. But you finished second your first year in the points. You finished second the second year in the points. Third year, you win the championship. We should also go back and say that you missed winning the championship, by the way, to another short course off-road racer in Sheldon Creed in 2020, but you missed that by 5 points. 2021, you missed it by 2 points. I mean, you came out swinging, dude, in that Truck Series, which is brutal.
Yeah, it definitely can be brutal. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, I mean, it's been, like I said, a crazy path to get to where I'm at today. that I always reflect and look back on. But yeah, I mean, coming from ARCA, then I had went straight to Xfinity and ran a handful of races. Was really green, to say the least, and had good runs. Had a really good run at Phoenix, which was my last race at JRM, and which caught the attention of Maury Gallagher and GMS Racing, and went in to do a year of the Truck Series. I don't even think supposed to be a full year, and we won Michigan, and then a few weeks later won at Dover, and then we made it to the Final Four, which is so crazy to say in a rookie season, and just for the little experience I had, I was just really happy with that. And it was 2020. It was a really weird year, so I didn't know quite how big of a deal that was. And then once to Phoenix, it's whoever is the best that day. So unfortunately, I finished second in the race, which I had lost to that year Sheldon, which means second in the championship. So just if I finished ahead of him, we would have had the championship. But then going into the year, things came about. I definitely had my name out on the radar, and was excited to where things were going to end up. And I did a year again in the Truck Series for GMS Racing, and it was just a lot of mistakes and issues and a lot of things out of my control. And but at that time, I had a bigger plan that was going to come into place, and then the race team had sold, and it didn't happen. Long story short, that year I was in a must-win position, won at Martinsville to get into the Final Four, and lost the lead of the championship with probably 7-8 laps to go, and finished second again in the championship. And then in 2022, and then won a few races and won the championship. And so last year was definitely a dream year, and one of the most fun years of racing I've ever had, really, to say the least. So this year has been a fun one, a lot of ups and downs, but we're in the playoffs. We've had a few good runs the past couple weeks, and I have a couple wins already. So hope to end this year as we did last year, but I'm here for it regardless.
Well, as you can tell, he certainly enjoyed some great success. When we come back, we'll touch on two of the biggest wins of his career. Stay with us.
Or they punch such a big hole in there to where if you get to the lead, now you're the slowest guy.
Once again, welcome back to the Skinny. We have Zane Smith on the show with us here today, a young phenom, of course, cutting his teeth in the NASCAR series, now Craftsman truck end of it. Does have a little bit of seat time in the Xfinity series, as he touched on, and in the Cup series as well, but of course Cup is where he would love to be. When we were going to break, I teased a couple of the big wins in his career along the way, and if you read what he has done, if you go back to 2021, he won the season opener. You know where that's at. 2022, he did that. And then in 2023, he backs it up and does it again. So you kick the season off with wins at Daytona, which is unbelievable, dude. Boom, scratch that one off the list. But how cool is it to go out there and get a win at Daytona?
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, at Daytona I feel like there's only two places in our country that have the prestige and that feeling that you have when you roll into the racetrack, and that's Daytona and Indy. And so I don't look at myself as a great speedway racer. On the truck side, I've had pretty good success at it, and so some good finishes, but I feel like I look at other things in our sport where I am better at. And so to win there the first year was crazy. And then to take control of the race last year was and get another one back to back was pretty crazy. Just how hard those are to win. There's so much out of your power where a lot of things can happen. typically you're either winning there or you're getting wrecked. And so Daytona has been really nice. And just about a month before I had raced there, we went and did the IMSA Pilot Challenge and raced on the IMSA side. That was a debut for me, and won there on the road course. So it was a great start to this year, and yeah, Daytona has been super good to me. Talladega, not so much.
Those big ones will bite you, man. No doubt about it. You bring something up, and in that series, I said before, it's brutal that, you're winning or you're wrecking. That's what I feel like it is in the truck series. And, I just feel like you need to be in the right place at the right time, stay out of the wreck if at all possible. That's way easier said than done. But you have managed to somehow do that for 3 consecutive years. And when you continue to do something the way that you've done it, it's clear that it is not luck. So feel free to share with us, and I'm sure some of the other drivers would love to hear as well, how you managed to stay out of a wreck in that truck series.
Yeah, well, I wish I had the answer this year. I feel like I've been caught up in a lot of other people's messes, and it's cost us a lot of points and good finishes. And so what's frustrating about it is it's just how the series is. We do it to ourselves. And so like other series, it's different than other series to where, yes, we all go around the same speed. They handle very similar. The Cup car is a little bit on its own planet right now, but the truck series field is very close for one, but trucks they punch such a big hole in there to where if you get to the lead, now you're the slowest guy, and the guy behind you is getting a big old run up to you, and that's what makes for really aggressive passes. And so we all know the tips and tricks to it, and that's what makes it so fun to watch, I feel like. But and then to add on top of that, our races they're not short, but they are for what they are. I feel like our stages go by right away. So you got to maximize on stage points. You cannot have any mistakes throughout a race, which is so crazy to say because it is a series where you're supposed to learn for trying to get to the Cup series. And so on the Cup side, you could have a couple mistakes and have time to come back from it. But on the truck side, you can't. The races are half the distance. So if you have a speeding penalty and you go to the back, you can't really get up front in 50 laps to go or something like that. So that's what just makes it really tough. So people are trying to be aggressive, overly aggressive at times, and that's where it leads to some crazy battles, but oftentimes wrecks. And yeah, I mean, it's just people that are laying it all out on the line and trying to prove why they belong in the Cup series. And I often tell people all the time that any professional sport is so dang hard to get into, but the Cup series is a new level, and motorsports in general, really. I feel like once you are a established race car driver and you've proved yourself, fortunately, if you make it, but you kind of age very well. As you get older, I feel like in your mid-30s is probably where you're at your prime, it seems like. So to get a spot at the table in the Cup field is just really hard to do. You got to outdo it. The guys that are there already, you got to outperform them and prove why you belong. And so it's so competitive and just so dang hard to get there.
At the age of 24, he's busy cutting his way, that path, if you will, to get a seat at the table. It is anything but easy, that's for sure. We'll touch on that when we come back. We're going to dig in a little bit deeper.
I feel like super speedways in general don't feel fast, and that's the scary thing. It feels fast when you hit something.
You're looking at the driver, the number 38 Ford for Front Row Motorsports. His name is Zane Smith out of Huntington Beach, California. Currently resides in Mooresville, North Carolina. Of course, with the rest of the drivers there that are chasing that NASCAR dream, or at least the bulk of them, I should say. We were just touching on, actually, you brought up the point that of how difficult it is to get up in Cup. And you've had a lot of success in the Truck Series, which I would call a professional level motorsports series. Certainly Xfinity, I mean, you said they run about the same as the trucks, and then you said the Cup cars are a little bit different. But talk to us about, you're 24 years old, man. How do you get in here and wheel and deal with these team owners that have been doing this for a living for a long time, man? They know the rules of the game all too well, and you have to figure out the best possible path for you to take to get you there as quickly as possible. You've got to be with a team that wins. I mean, that's first thing you check off, right? Do they have the equipment to go out and win? You know, because you have to keep your name at the top of the charts, or you have no chance at all. I know you have your father. He's been in this game for a long, long time, but I would have to think that there's a lot of other people that you need to rely on.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a crazy and hard path to get to. How I look at it is the top 3 tiers of NASCAR. And so where I've been so thankful for is touching back on my dad's side, is he's ran an off-road race team for all my life. So I've just been involved in racing all my life. And with that, you're around people with the same interest, and that's racing. And so the one thing that takes racing to go around is money. And so for me, I had a little bit different of a way to get here. I had a group of investors that were with me from the time I was in karting at about 7 years old to now, or years ago. They're with me all throughout this. So they were a group of investors that had paid through karting, late models, and getting into ARCA to prove what I guess essentially showcase what you have to these bigger teams and these bigger guys with companies that are able to do it, that you see are full time on a race car. And so for me, that was my way to get there. But all they care about is winning. And so I have been fortunate to be a part of some really good race teams. And have been able to capitalize on the opportunity and win those races and catch the attention of bigger teams and get another opportunity. And I just think it's really important to showcase that winning nature. If you're able to pull it off, to do whatever it takes to win. And obviously, at the same time, team owners don't want their stuff tore up. So have had good luck with that, but it's been such a crazy path to get here. I have ran into not knowing what I'm doing the next year, come October, November, right after the championship race in Phoenix. And it's a scary, scary thing, but this is a massive industry where betting on yourself and measuring out an opportunity and how much risk is there, that's what it's all about. And so high risk is typically no reward or very high rewards. Yeah, like I said, it's just been crazy to look back at all the stuff I've been through in the little amount of time I've had in this industry, and just to think back of before the NASCAR times, the karting days, the off-road, even going back to racing a BMX bike and the late model legend cars, all above. It's been so crazy to see where it's taken me.
All right, so real quick, what's it like 2-3 wide at Daytona? The first time you ever were on the high banks of Daytona, I can't even imagine. What was that like?
Yeah, the thing, people often ask me how fast does Daytona feel, and I feel like super speedways in general don't feel fast, and that's the scary thing. It feels fast when you hit something. So I don't know. I feel like when the first time you're 3 wide or in a racing situation, definitely depends who's around you. You trust more people than others. But yep, definitely feel more confident on the cup side when I've been 3 wide at a place like Daytona 500 or Talladega, versus sometimes on the truck side.
He's had a vicious competitor who was also one of his best friends throughout his entire life. We'll touch on that relationship when we come back.
I feel like we all pull for each other every weekend. Obviously, probably race each other a little bit harder.
The Skinny is brought to you by American Coach. American Coach, innovation is our life force. And Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04.
Once again, we're back here at the Skinny. We have Zane Smith on the show with us here today, and pretty cool to hear that the path that he took is not unlike some guy named Scott Dixon, Alexander Rossi, where he had the angel investors that have put together some funds to keep him in the game. A very clever way of going about it. And certainly a great path of success if you can prove that you have the talent, and you've certainly done that. Really, really cool to hear that that's kind of how it's gone. I teased you having a vicious competitor who's also a really close friend, and you've already divulged the fact that he's going to be your best man. So I want to touch on this relationship with you and Riley Herbst. And then I hope it's okay, because it seems like maybe you've steered clear of it. And I've seen a couple times where your dad has steered clear of it, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. But he's basically a motorsports manager, if you will, for the Terrible Herbst Motorsports team. I mean, a very large, very successful operation that's been in existence for many, many years. So clearly your father is very good at what he does. But the reason I bring it up is, think about this for a second. He and Riley are close in age. They battled, I know you battled in ARCA. I know you battled in trucks. You probably battled before that somewhere that I'm not aware of. But we have your father who is working for Riley's father. And I can only think that, and listen, Riley can get the elbows up, man. We all know it, right? But I can only imagine when you and Riley are knocking the doors off of each other, that your dad is thinking, man, this just is not going to go well when I get to work on Monday morning, man. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't think so. But Riley and I have raced against each other, and have been teammates at times all of our lives, and so we know how the racing world goes. If you get into it one weekend, that could have been him or 39 others. So unfortunately, it was just him. I swear, in our sport, went into it with someone, you're pitted right next to them, or you have the ride around the next week together. It's just how it works. So, but yeah, it's been really cool to have. I look at them as family, racing with me through this all. But I mean, another friend that we have is Noah Gregson, and he's I mean, we've done the ladder together, and how I look at it is, when my friends have success, I would rather see them succeed than some random guy. So I feel like we all pull for each other every weekend. Obviously, probably race each other a little bit harder at times than others, for when we have some beers later and we all talk about it. But it's all part of it. We all want to make it to Sunday and be successful at it as well.
It's incredible stuff. I mean, to watch you both develop the way you have, and to see the talent that both of you have developed. I mean, both of you clearly good enough to go to Cup. So I want to change subjects here just a little bit, because you also touched on something about how the trucks run kind of like the Xfinity cars. But you said that when you jumped in that Xfinity car out of the ARCA car, you were really, really green. And you were young, let's face it. Seat time is everything, right? And it takes years, apparently, to develop these skills. But when you're outside looking in, and we're watching you guys drive around on an oval track. You know, it doesn't seem incredibly difficult. I certainly have mad respect. I understand it now. I've been in the game for a while. But I have mad respect for the skill of the drivers. It's who they are is unbelievably good. But to hear you say, coming out of ARCA, which, by the way, you had, I think it was the closest finish in history at Talladega in the ARCA series, which was virtually a tie. They had to go to photographs to find out who won it. But to run at Talladega and then to get in an Xfinity car and say that you were green, what is the difference there, man? What is that level that you're going from ARCA to Xfinity with those drivers? When you say you're green, what were you missing?
Just experience. And I think I need to go back and touch on this. What I had meant is there has always been a ladder that the drivers take where you go truck, Xfinity, and Cup. The Cup car is so much different now. And the Xfinity car has now kind of fell into place where it's way different. And the truck, I feel like, races similar in a lot of ways to the Cup car. So you see, I feel like a lot of the Cup guys that are coming down and now when they can race a truck because they feel like it's going to be more beneficial for them rather than an Xfinity car. I think the Xfinity car are probably the most fun to drive. But what I meant by being green is that goes back to where experience in this sport is everything. And just being in racing situations, racing positions, you learn and learn and learn. I'm a way different race car driver than I was in 2020. I wish I could go back to that day and apply what I know now, but I don't.
Some insight from Zane Smith. We're going to touch base with him about a pretty special date that happened, well, a little more than a year ago now. It's almost getting stale.
She is undefeated. She is 3-0. So she's a pretty good driver herself.
Welcome back to the Skinny. I'm Ken Stout, the big man sitting alongside here at the V for Victory desk. That is Rico Elmore, and of course we have Michael Young back behind running the controls, the track dude. Great to have him with us here once again. I teased this one going to break, and this one certainly is something we'll all have a little bit of experience on in terms of Zane. But he got engaged April 30th, 2022, a little more than a year ago, and of course, the critics are now pounding the drum about it was cool that you got engaged, but they've not heard any further news about when the big day is going to be, man. So feel free to expose it right here on the Skinny.
Yeah, I think it was announced. I can't quite keep up with what's posted or what I have posted, but yeah, getting married officially on January 11th of next year, obviously. So excited for that, and an easy date to remember. So in the green on that one, but yeah, it's taken a little bit longer than what we've wanted, but the racing schedule and our schedule is pretty crazy. All of us get married in I feel like January because that's our only time to, and then it's about the next week is all media day and preparing for the next year. So excited for that day to come. McCall and I have been together for a long time. Is
she a critic of yours? I mean, will she tell you that move probably wasn't your smartest move, or is she more of a, man, it'll be okay, don't worry about it, you'll get them again next week?
A little bit of both, I would say. She's done a freaking good job of her own. There's this race called the Better Half Dash where our better halves will do a go-kart race. In past years, they've done iRacing, and she is undefeated. She is 3-0. So she's a pretty good driver herself. So I better start winning a little bit more. Maybe if I don't go back-to-back on this championship, she's taking the job.
That's what I was wondering. Like, at some point, you might get concerned. Like, you know, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, next thing she'll want to get in an ARCA car and take a swing at it.
That's part of marriage, ain't it? What's mine is hers, what's hers is mine, right? So as long as she's bringing in the money, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's great stuff, man. Certainly very, very cool. Hey, I touched on this for a second. 2017, you ran with Venturini, and kind of late in the season, you made a switch, decided to go with MDM. That's not an easy decision to make, certainly as a young man. But it paid dividends right away. You immediately got up, I want to say, into the top 3, and then came back 2018 and had a great season. But talk to me about that run at Talladega when you and Joe Graff Jr. literally crossed the stripe at what the clocks would call a dead heat. Now, mind you, it looks like they only went to 2 digits past the decimal, and I think they go 3, 4, 5 now to make sure they find a winner. But what do you remember about that day and that race?
I remember it briefly for sure. I I remember Sheldon Creed and I going at the win there, and I felt like all year it was me and him going at it for race wins. And at that point throughout the race, I had just gotten by Sheldon, and he was there to help push me. And yeah, it was a ridiculously close finish. I didn't quite know who won at the time, and then once they told me I got it, I couldn't believe it. So I think since then, definitely have not won at Talladega since then. Hopefully this year we could turn that around, but yeah, Talladega is a lot of fun, a lot of character for a super speedway, and just a fun weekend in general. I always recommend Talladega if you're a new race fan and want to go to your first race. Be a crazy. It's always a lot of fun to go down there.
Real quickly before we go to break here, compare the 3 for me: Daytona, Talladega, and COTA. You've been to all 3. You've won at all 3.
I would definitely go with COTA, just because you could predict your future a little bit better than the others, or control your destiny. I mean, so I feel like the road courses are so much fun in a stock, and COTA is just an awesome racetrack. But those super speedways are always pretty dang exciting if you're able to win one.
Very, very cool. We'll take a quick break here. We'll come back on the other side and find out what lays in store for this young driver.
Want to get the skinny on other guests in different types of motorsports? Check out our YouTube page and get the skinny. The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And American Coach. American Coach, innovation is our life force.
Welcome back to Speedway, Indiana, the Fatheads Eyewear Studios here with the Skinny. We have Zane Smith on the show. Been picking his brain here as he's been cutting a path, trying to make it up to the Cup Series and NASCAR. Of course, the champ in 2022 led 492 laps last year. That's a pretty impressive number, to say the least. Hey, man, I got a quick question for you. Do the Herbst boys have any of those Pro 4s still laying around in the shop? Have you ever thought about hopping behind the wheel and slinging one of those things around?
Yeah, I mean, Riley and I got to go this was a few years ago, we got to go race one of the desert trophy trucks out on just a smaller weekend, and man, we both thought these are way more fun than what we get to drive, but unfortunately you can't really make a living in these. So yeah, they I don't think any more of those are laying around, but man, if they would be pretty fun to play around it.
Yeah, those 900 horsepower monsters, just sling those things around. They're wicked. So let's talk about 2024. I saw a couple of posts here, man, where somebody is right in the bullseye for this team called Stewart-Haas. Any chance that you might be able to make the leap up there to Cup and drive for Tony Stewart and the boys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things been going on in the past couple of weeks. I'm currently a free agent and free to go explore Cup opportunities, and there is interest. Just timing is a little off, and so trying not to sign the first thing that is put in front of me, and think of where I really want to be on a longer term scale. And I'm excited for what's to come. I should know here in the next couple weeks on what I'm gonna officially commit to, but for sure have lost some sleep over the past couple weeks on trying to decide what my best opportunity is and what I should go with. Not every day, or did I ever think I would have multiple opportunities in front of me, and this day would come to where I'm trying to make probably the biggest decision of my life, and yeah, just trying to make it the right one. So can't quite answer that truthfully. So, but we should know here shortly.
Yeah, there's a lot of spokes in the wheel, isn't there? I mean, from the sponsorship side of it, the business side of it, the chemistry side of it, where you need to blend in with the team. They need to know who you are. The ownership side of it. And I'm sure a lot of stuff that I'm not even thinking of. I mean, there's just a lot of elements to the game.
Yeah, and I have told a lot of people the past couple of years, this is a really exciting time to be in the sport. I feel like we had the elephant in the room is a few years ago. I don't know, four years ago or so. The stands at NASCAR races were lacking from what they were years ago. But if you've been watching a NASCAR race lately, all these are sold out, and people are talking about it and are into it. And I don't know really quite changed besides this new car, but from a driver's side, the cars are as even as they've ever been. And so now what it comes down to is personnel. And so finding the right people for you is everything. And building a team almost around you, and making sure that click is right with the whole group, from the crew chief to the spotter, is what it's all about. So that's what I've kind of been working on, and where my head's been at the past couple weeks, and at the same time competing for another truck championship. So it's been busy, but I feel like it's such an exciting time in the sport right now. We're going to new venues. We just raced the Chicago street course, literally downtown through the streets of Chicago. NASCAR stock cars are racing through the streets, going, and guys are being introduced to our sport that we've never seen and performing. And so I feel like you really see how tough the Cup Series is when these guys that win on the F1 level and the sports car level, V8 Super, whatever it may be, they have their hands full on the Cup side. And besides at the Chicago street course, we were, I feel like, out of our element there. But I guarantee you, if we go back there, now that the NASCAR have been through it, it might be a different story this year. And that's just how competitive and how hard the Cup Series is. So I'm all here for it, and it's a sport I've always wanted to be in.
Make no mistake about it, dude. They're the best drivers in the world, and as you well know, it's not just drivers, it's the teams. So for anybody to come here from anywhere in the world, let them pony on up, because it is a tall, tall task to go out there and win a race, much less win a championship. And you're right there with the best of them, man. You've already proven it. Swinging the bat right there with them, 3 consecutive years in a row, put together a championship. I mean, you definitely have the talent and skill to get there. You've got to get the right people around you. And maybe I got the cart ahead of the horse here a little bit, asking you about 2024. I know you're still focused on this season here, currently 5th in the points. It might sound like a lot like you're deep, but that's only 18 markers back last time I checked. So one quick race and it can turn everything back around, and you've got a number of races yet to go here. So want to thank you very much for taking the time, man. We know you're busy with the schedule there. I think you've got a weekend off here, so hope you get to enjoy that. But thanks for taking the time and joining us here on The Skinny, man. It's great to have people like you that can give us some insight on what it takes for a young gun to try and make it up to the the highest level.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I'm always excited to come on, and hopefully I could have a big racing on Sunday sooner than later, and we can talk about that. Awesome stuff, man. Once again, the driver of the number 38 Ford for Front Row Motorsports, Zane Smith. And now you know the skinny on that, young man. See you next week.